about the atmosphere? How about Nats Park? What can fans do to help this team? You've got a home field advantage. We've talked about this all year long to make it a big deal. Well, let's make sure that that happens. What would you say? We got a lot of fans here who are going to the game. What do the fans need to do? What's their part of the bargain they've got to hold up?
Come early, stay late, be loud, and don't count on the Metro.
Well, here's the
What a
good
great
news,
line.
though.
Drive.
Live from our DC Lottery Live studios on Half Street, your Washington Nationals playoff pep rally is underway. We've got a nice, huge turnout. Nationals fans showing up wearing their red. If you're ready for October baseball, let's hear it. If you want the Dodgers to beat the Nationals in the division series, I'd like you to scream right now. Oh, nobody. That's interesting. If you want the Nationals to advance to their first league championship series in franchise history, let me hear you.
Bryce Harper looked unbelievable. I mean, he was hitting homers left and right. Jason Worth also looked very good. Ryan Zimmerman as well. Daniel Murphy, one thing kind of stood out to me was he was not really getting his legs into it, I think, like he usually does. I'm not saying that means he's not 100%, but I think he wasn't really necessarily testing himself. Now, once we saw him play defense, you saw him moving around very quickly. He showed off his range. I think he's going to be fine, but right now he's kind of trying to gingerly go through these next few days and make sure that he doesn't aggravate that buttock.
And that's, by the way, my own speculation here, but that's kind of my fear. I feel like they keep saying he's fine. Today, Mike Rizzo was on with the Junkies, and hopefully you guys have listened to Rizzo on every Wednesday. We've had Scherzer on every homestand on Grant and Danny. But he said, yeah, he's not having any pain. He's going to be 100%. I don't know that I buy it. He hasn't played, and when you see him, as you're talking about, he just doesn't look quite right. And you need him to be great. Now, the one thing you can say is the Dodgers have lefties starting in Game 1 and Game 2, in Clayton Kershaw and Rich Hill. And so maybe, from a left-handed perspective with Harper and Murphy, you water down what you would have expected anyway, and it's about the right-handers. But you still need one of those two guys to have a big series. What's your gut feel, Charlie? Appreciate you hanging out with us. How do you feel about this series? What's your gut feel?
You know, we've mentioned all the question marks, the nicks, the bumps, the bruises, the injuries. Nobody really knows what's going to happen that's why we play the games. And the last two times the Nationals were in the postseason, they were the favorites. They had the bullseyes on their backs. I think the Cubs have the bullseye on their back this time, and pressure's on somebody else. Now, of course, pressure's always on anybody to win. You want to win in the postseason. It's a big moment, but I think less people I think more people are probably taking the Nationals lightly or lighter than they did in the past. And so I think the team, talking to the players, they're kind of relishing the underdog role a little bit.
And they've been waiting for this all season long. I mean, the goal was always to be at this point and then even go further. So there are question marks, of course. There are things that need to kind of be ironed out as far as the pitching or the health of certain guys. But, this is a team that, like you said, they can get on a roll. They can get Bryce Harper or Daniel Murphy or somebody swinging well. We saw what Murphy can do last year in the postseason. If he's healthy enough to replicate that, or if Bryce Harper can get hot for 6 weeks, really good things could happen for this team.
It's a long series, but it's also short. It's longer than a normal regular season series, but it's not a 7-game thing. I think if you win one of these first 2 games, it becomes a fight. And then it's anybody's ball game. What you can't have is that kind of deflating, we're climbing out of a hole again, it's happening to us again. The Dodgers have their own demons. The Dodgers haven't fulfilled expectations each of the last several years. When they've won that division as well, they're fighting their own ghosts. Kershaw's got his own demons. They're talking about this on sports radio in L.A. with a lot of like tanning lotion as the it's kind of the sponsor. Yeah. By the way, get a MyPillow. You'll sleep better than you ever have. The point is, if you punch him in the mouth a little bit, all of a sudden you're in this thing. You've absolutely got as good a chance as anybody.
I completely agree, especially if you can beat Kershaw in Game 1.
You find a way to do that.
I mean, that throws them off a lot.